Peter Rutland is a professor of government at Wesleyan University. He joins us now from Middletown in Connecticut. Really good to have you with us, Professor. Pete Hegseth's staunch support for Ukraine couldn't be more different to what Donald Trump was saying while he was on the campaign trail and earlier on in his term this year. What do you explain, how do you explain, rather, the difference in attitude that the Trump administration now has with regards to its support for Ukraine?
Yes, it's a very interesting development. Back in August, when Donald Trump pulled out all the stops to invite Vladimir Putin to Anchorage, Alaska for a summit, Trump put a lot of political capital into that, and he was strongly criticized for giving a platform to Putin. And what did President Trump get in return from Putin? Absolutely nothing. The Russians continue to bombard Ukrainian cities. So I think President Trump feels like he'd invested a lot of personal political effort into his friendship with Vladimir Putin, and he feels that he's been let down. Right now, Trump is fully engaged with the Gaza conflict, so he's kind of not playing a leading role in Ukraine. But it'll be interesting to see what happens once attention shifts back towards Ukraine.
We heard Pete Hegseth also call on NATO allies to up its purchases of weaponry for Ukraine. We know much of the firepower that Kyiv currently uses comes from the US. Is there an element of self-interest here as well for the Trump administration, really trying to drum up more US weapons sales?
Yes. I mean, from the beginning, Trump has been consistent in saying, this is not our war, this is Europe's war, the Europeans have to pay for it, it's their security that's on the line. And so he's been able to kind of browbeat the Europeans to increase their promised spending on defense. And, the US is happy to sell weapons to Ukraine, but the US is no longer willing to spend up to $50 billion a year in economic and military aid to Ukraine. So I don't see that changing. I think Trump's attitude towards Putin may well have changed towards a more negative approach, but Trump is not going to give up on that principle that the U.S. doesn't want to spend money on the Ukraine war. They want to make money by getting the Europeans to buy weapons for Ukraine.
It's very hard to really read into what Vladimir Putin might be thinking. But as the US ramps up its rhetoric against Moscow, how do you think Moscow is digesting this? Are they taking the US threats seriously, do you think?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because the Russian response so far to the new line from Trump has been quite cautious. So they're still, I think, optimistic that in the long run, they can play up the division between Europe and the US and kind of keep Trump out of the picture. Now, they have reacted with some negative comments about the possibility of the Tomahawk cruise missiles. So they're trying to make that technological upgrade a kind of red line. But they put down those kind of red lines in the past, the Patriot missiles, the F-16 fighters. And then when the U.S. did start supplying Ukraine with those systems, Russia didn't do anything. So I'm not sure how seriously the threats of retaliation, if the Tomahawks are installed, will play out. I think they're still hoping that President Trump's attention will wander off somewhere else and that they can continue to kind of portray this as the Europeans versus the United States.
Okay, Professor Peter Rutland, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you again for joining us on the program.
Thank you.